Paimon is without a doubt the most mysterious character in the game, and she has multiple theories about her identities, and that would be our topic in this video. Starting off with her most popular theory, her being the unknown goddess. People claim that the unknown goddess drained her powers when she fought the twins, then became small and turned into Paimon. But this is very, very unlikely, because she was trying to stop us and she's the main reason why the twins were separated. And Paimon, on the other hand, is trying to help us find our twin. One more thing I'd like to mention is that the unknown god didn't even struggle while fighting the siblings. She was literally floating in one place and didn't even move the whole fight. And she basically bullied the twins with no difficulty. The identity of the unknown god would be a topic for another video. Next we have the Shade of Time, Istaroth. People think Paimon is Istaroth because she moves when we pause the game, but this is just a game mechanic because we haven't seen her use any time-related abilities lore-wise. People also like to say that she gave us the ability to control time. But first of all, Paimon did not give us such a thing. And second of all, we don't even fast-forward the time. We wait. People also say that Paimon is Istaroth because we found her near the Nameless Island, which is associated with Istaroth. But I would like to remind y'all that we didn't meet Paimon in Mondstadt. We met her in Liu, and specifically in Gyenstone Forest. I believe you're a bit confused now, so let me clear up some stuff.
After I awoke, I was all alone. Right up until I met you 2 months ago.
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned.
Traveler and Paimon met in Liu 2 months ago before starting their journey in Mondstadt. As I said before, Paimon was fished out from Gyenstone Forest.
Gyenstone Forest, where I sealed many gods with my spears.
It's basically a graveyard where Morax sealed multiple gods. And Paimon was found there, which would open up a new possibility that Paimon used to be one of those gods that were defeated by Rex Lapis. But again, this is less likely to be the case. Moving on to the next theory, Paimon being a Seelie. Paimon shares some similarities with the Seelies, as they teach humans languages and as well as guiding them, which is literally what Paimon did for the Traveler, as she teach the latter the language of Teyvat during those 2 months. She also refers to herself as the Traveler's best travel guide and companion. But this theory has also been debunked. That's because the Seelies were cursed and stripped out of their mind. And the one and only Seelie that was able to survive and maintain herself was Nabu Malakata, the flower goddess. Next up, we have the theory of Paimon being one of the Moon Sisters, because her color scheme is white just like the moon, and she was also compared to the moon. But once again, this theory is very less likely to be true, because in the Volume 3 of Moonlit Bamboo Forest, we learn that the Moon Sisters killed each other, and the moon we see in the sky is a corpse. And now, since we've got every theory out of the way, I would like to introduce to you my favorite Paimon theory. But before I start, please make sure to watch this video, because this Paimon theory heavily relies on the things I explained there. But I'll still give a quick summary right now. Thousands of years ago, a war happened between the ruler of Celesta, the Primordial One, and an intruder known as the Second Who Came. The latter one and started impersonating the identity of the Primordial One, and used the Irminsul to make everyone believe that he's the Primordial One, and is trying to hide the truth from Teyvat. But if there's anyone who somehow finds out, they will be killed. As for the fate of the Primordial One, we will discuss it in this video.
As you are not from this world, I am unable to give you a prediction.
Mona is incapable of predicting the fate of the Traveler, because they're a descender.
This travel companion of yours, do you know anything of her origins? No matter what, I cannot seem to discern a single shred of information regarding this floating fairy's fate.
Mona is also incapable of predicting the fate of Paimon, which opens up the possibility that Paimon is also a descender. Now I know you may be wondering, how would Paimon be a descender if she forgot Scaramouche and Ruka di Vada? Well, let me tell you that Paimon could be acting in order to avoid suspicion, because it's not the right time yet for her to reveal her true identity to the Traveler. Well, who knows, Paimon could be faking her stupidity and ignorance, and she might be some kind of omniscient being. And now we will analyze Paimon's design, starting off with her most noticeable feature, her crown. Apart from the kings, Paimon and the Primordial One are the only individuals who wear a crown, and their crowns look very similar. And precisely when Paimon's crown is upside down. Now moving on to what she's wearing. The things on her sleeves and boots are literally the things that are on the celestial pillars. And Celesta is built by the Primordial One, which proves that Paimon is related to Celesta. Now Paimon's hairpin is a star, which looks like the Primogem, and it's called a Primordial Gem. Adding on to that, the Primordial One is symbolized by the circlet of logos, which is once again a crown with a star motif. One more thing is that the hero's journey icon is a crown with wings, which also symbolizes the Primordial One. And as you can see, there's once again more star motifs. Paimon doesn't only has a star hairpin, but she's also connected to stars.
Paimon? What a fascinating being. You two give off not only the essence of wind and earth, but also of... yes, the stars.
Huh? The fragrance of what now? That's the weirdest compliment Paimon's ever heard.
I'm pretty sure you're tired of me mentioning wings, so let's talk about them now. As you may already know, the Primordial One has wings, but Paimon doesn't. But after all, the whole point of having wings is to fly, which is something she's already capable of doing. But if this isn't a good evidence to you, then let me show you something that you probably haven't seen before. This is an official art of Paimon holding a spear. And if you look closely, you'll notice that the spear got wings. This was posted on Twitter all the way back in 2019, which is why not many players are familiar with it. In Honkai Impact, there's something called the imaginary type, symbolized by a triquetra. Now in Genshin Impact, we see the triquetra on Mora and Genesis Crystal. They're both currencies that represent an imaginary concept. Money is an object that holds an imaginary value, which is why Mora and Genesis Crystal have the imaginary symbol. But Paimon is an exception. The triquetra on her clothes is different. It's upside down. And when a symbol is upside down, then its meaning would be the opposite. So this is how it would be. Therefore, the triquetra symbol on Paimon means real. I'm sure you're confused on what this would mean, but don't worry, we will get to that later. Just hear me out. Have you ever wondered what does Genshin mean? It means original God, as well as these two other meanings, which perfectly describes the Primordial One, since he's the original god of Teyvat and the creator of all life. Here's another detail that you might have missed. There's a crown and a pair of wings, and specifically on the word Genshin, which means that Genshin is the Primordial One. But you might ask me, how would this tie with Paimon? Well, it's simple really. Paimon is the mascot of Genshin Impact. And now, we finally know why the triquetra symbol on Paimon means real. Because the Primordial One is the real and original god. Well, after all, you can't spell Primordial One without Paimon.
That sound. Traveler, Paimon, Doctor, what have you done?
Just a type of sound wave that can quickly put defenseless people into a dream. As I expected, it doesn't have any effect on gods.
According to the doctor, he used a device that makes non-gods sleep, and it seems like it worked on Paimon. But as I said before, Paimon could be faking her stupidity and isn't clueless. It could be that she saw the traveler fall asleep first, and then she did the same as an act. But still, Paimon called herself a god.
If you pinch Paimon, you'll be able to see a crying god.
Are you a god?
Paimon sure is. As your bodyguard, Paimon is the god of protection.
At first, you might see this as a joke, but it could be a big foreshadowing for the end of the game. Because she will protect the traveler from someone. I'll explain more in details later. Now let's talk about TCG. There's something called the Omni element and symbolized by a triquetra. It's basically the combination of all elements. Hence why it's called Omni, because that word means all. Also an amazing detail that I noticed. The reason why the triquetra symbol in TCG is in that specific angle is because the Omni element in TCG is imaginary. Because we don't actually use the elements during TCG, it's just effects. Therefore, it's not real. So if the Omni element in TCG looks like this, then the Omni element would look like this in the real world. Does that remind you of someone? Well, now Paimon not only has the symbol of the Omni, but she's also associated to it. Well, the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because the Primordial One also has the Omni element, because Teyvat and everything in it was created by the Primordial One, and it's stated that the elements are the building blocks of Teyvat, and the elements flow in the ley lines. But if Paimon has all this great power, why is she so weak? As I said in my previous theory video, the Primordial One and the second who came fought each other, and the Primordial One lost. Now what if the Primordial One used a lot of power but became small? Just like what happened to Ruka Divata and Guba.
She exhausted her strength, and her form became that of a small child. How strange.
For he placed all of his power into the land itself to quell the calamities. His power expended, and his wits greatly reduced. Thus his body decreased in size. By the time he parted ways with us, he wasn't even the height of a human.
It's also very likely that the reason that the Traveler is able to manipulate the elements is thanks to Paimon, since she got the Omni element. But since she doesn't want to reveal her identity to the Traveler, she uses the statues as an excuse for the Traveler's source of power.
If you are caught by the Tenryou Commission, you also can't surrender your vision in exchange for your life.
I can tell them that you were my vision.
Another reason to have Paimon around. Wait, what?
How you're able to freely manipulate elemental power is something I'd like to ascertain. And this floating child is connected to your body in some way? I was merely considering the possibility that you were an external organ. Perhaps there is some invisible force connecting you. Oh, that rules out that possibility. I wonder, did Paimon guide the elemental power to you? But that would mean that Paimon's elemental power would be enough to break through a mountain rock at least 10 meters thick, or cause the waterfall south of Springville to flow backwards.
Hey, how would you know anyway?
What a fascinating being. You two give off not only the essence of wind and earth, but also of... yes, the stars.
Paimon was also shown to be capable of having a resistance to some phenomenons that non-vision users won't be capable of resisting.
We received word that a section of the Avidia forest seems to have become contaminated. I hear that strange things are happening to people who cross through that region.
So this is the contaminated region that everyone's been talking about. Oh, it definitely looks different from normal.